to talk about quinoa. At our classes, we always tell people to cook huge batches of quinoa and then use it throughout the whole week. We have a whole lot of different quinoa here, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use it: for breakfast, as a salad, and as a delicious dinner. So this is cooked white quinoa, and first of all I'm going to put some of it into just a little saucepan here to make some breakfast porridge. Now this is something that a lot of people don't think of as quinoa as a breakfast food, but actually it's really delicious, and because it has so much protein in it, it's a really good way to start your day. Now I've just put in, this is about a cup of quinoa, and it's cooked, and you can make this with raw quinoa, but it just takes a lot longer. This literally takes 10 minutes to do. Now I'm going to put some milk in there, about 2/3 of a cup. This is a little 12-ounce. More, like so. Okay, and some cardamom pod. Now these are great. These are the flavouring that go into chai tea. They use a lot in Indian cooking for Indian desserts. So these, you put the whole pods in, give it a little stir around, and then just put it on here on the stove. Put the lid on and cook it for about 10, well not even 10 minutes. Make your coffee, and by the time you've finished doing that, this will be ready. Okay. Oh, this is cooked now. Now I'm going to put in there some honey to sweeten it. You can do this to taste if you want to. It's really up to you. Just going to stir that in. Right. Oh, this is good. You can see how thick it's gotten. Now I'm going to put a little bit of cinnamon in here. Last but not least, we're going to be putting in blueberries. If you want to get out in the morning even quicker, you can actually do it in a ceramic bowl and pop it in your microwave for about 2.5 minutes. Put a ceramic plate on top to keep the steam in. And here we have quinoa blueberry porridge. And the blueberries obviously make it a little bit, the juice a little bit colour, but it's absolutely delicious. It's good. Okay, now the next thing we're going to make is a Middle Eastern classic. It's a tabbouleh salad. It's usually made with cracked wheat, but actually to make it with quinoa, it looks the same, pretty much tastes the same, but the nutrition bang you get for your buck is so much bigger. As we said before, quinoa has all the natural amino acids to give it complete protein. Okay, first of all we're going to put in some cucumber. Now, this is an English cucumber. It's better than the little short ones. It's actually sweeter, and well, it's not because I'm English. I prefer it, perhaps. But anyway, I'm going to take off some of the rind. Don't have to do this, but what we want from the cucumber here is its taste and also the water that's in there. So I'm going to cut it into 2 slices long ways. Whoops. Right, let's get this out of the way. And then now, if you want to, I'll just show you something else with another piece. I'm putting in everything. As you can see, now we've got quite a fine dice going here. Okay, I'm going to put all this in the bowl. It's our fancy mixing bowl here. Okay, now I'm just going to show you something a bit more in. Let's get the some people also find the
the rind a little bit indigestible, which is another good reason to take it off if you are having any GI problems. But what you really need to kind of get out of the cucumber if you're having GI problems are the seeds. So this is what we're going to do with these. We're just going to cut them down like so. Okay. Now you think to yourself, oh, that's half a cucumber gone, but you know what? If cucumbers bother you, if the seeds bother you, it's better to not have them. You get the taste without the problems. So here we go. Okay, so we're just going to, as with the other one, just cut them down. Alright, stack them up and dice them again. Okay, so that shows you how to dice a cucumber without the seeds. You can do that with zucchini as well if you want. With it's the same thing. Of course, we've got a bit of cucumber left over, which of course I can make a nice cucumber sandwich with. Now I'm going to put in some cherry tomatoes. I like cherry tomatoes because they taste sweet and they've got a lot of flavour at times when regular tomatoes can be really disappointing. In the height of summer, when the tomatoes are at their best, we're just going to chop these up as I'm doing here. You can use big beefsteak tomatoes and dice those up. But for those months when the tomatoes are not at their best, cherry tomatoes for fresh salad like this are perfect. This is one of the freshest tasting, most satisfying salads I know of, and it's really a favourite at our classes. So I'm going to put in the olive oil. This has all been measured out. This is going to be a simple citrus vinaigrette. Lemon's juice is really tart, so it's actually a good idea to not put too much in. Going to put a little grind of sea salt and a little grind of pepper. Not too much. Now I'm going to mix in, this is a little bit of chopped onion that's going in there. It's about 1/4 cup. Some chopped mint. This is the classic taste for the tabbouleh. And some chopped parsley. And parsley is a wonderful thing. It's full of vitamin C, vitamin K. It's a really great herb. Now see how pretty that looks? So fresh. And it's a really fresh tasting salad, this. Here's our cooked quinoa. I'm going to start just putting that in now and mixing it in as I go until I think it looks right. Then cover it up. Put it in the fridge for like half an hour. And what will happen is that the quinoa will gradually soak up all of the juices from the dressing and from the vegetables that are in there and from the herbs. And if you've got the cooked quinoa on hand, really all you've got to do is a bit of chopping and you've got a really delicious, healthy Middle Eastern salad tabbouleh. Okay, now we're going to make our last quinoa dish, and that's going to be quinoa patties. Now, as with a lot of patties, it's great to have some breadcrumbs in them. Now, this is just the heel of a loaf of bread that I have at home. I never ever buy breadcrumbs now. Okay, same thing with these. So you've got all these little diced bread, and what you can do is to put them in this state into a Ziploc bag and put them in your freezer. And this is kind of your breadcrumb base for all kinds of recipes. You can actually even use them for like making little croutons if you want to as well. You just fry them in a little bit of olive oil. What I'm going to do is a little coffee grinder. I'm just going to put some of these in here, enough for what we want. All you need is a really inexpensive coffee grinder. Because we're doing them with quinoa, which is a fine grain, we don't want them too big. See, perfect breadcrumbs, and that took seconds. We only need a couple of tablespoons, so this is probably going to be enough. Right, so to make the patties, it's really kind of easy. We have some chopped onion, some sun-dried tomatoes, which have also been soaked and then chopped. Soaking sun-dried tomatoes actually sort of plumps them up and makes them truly, truly delicious. Some crumbled feta cheese and some mint. We're going to put in the chopped onion, the feta cheese, sun-dried tomato, and some mint. There we go. Now I'm going to put in beaten egg, just to stir it around a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to put in the quinoa. Now, this isn't an exact art making these things. You can see it's all starting to hang together. That's the egg doing that. Now I'm going to put in some breadcrumbs. And I'm going to do them a little bit at a time because we don't want too much. These are going to soak up the egg and they're going to hold the patties together. And if the mixture looks too dry, which it may do, I think I'm going to add the rest of the egg. Okay, we're going to let this sit for a little while to let all the egg and the liquid soak into the breadcrumbs. Okay, this is kind of sticking together better now. I'm going to form it into some patties. And these are not like hamburger, they're never going to stick together in exactly that way. But we don't need to worry about it too much because once the egg starts to cook, it'll hold everything together. Okay, this is the oil that we're going to fry. It's just a clear vegetable oil, grapeseed or canola. Okay, we want the oil to be hot, light. This has just kind of got that rippling effect, but sometimes I find the easiest way is just to, there you go, that's perfect. Now we're going to leave them, try not to play with them too much, because what we want them to do is for the egg that's binding these together to cook through. And if it breaks when you flip them, don't worry about it. We can always put them back together again. You know, it's not about perfection, it's about great taste. Really delicious quinoa patties. And there you go. Quinoa 3 ways. This is 1 bag of cooked quinoa, 3 different meals. Breakfast, lunch, dinner.